I'm delighted to have this opportunity to showcase the work that students in the Film and Culture concentration have been doing during the past year. First and foremost, we were able to relaunch our WordPress website, which is a venue for showcasing student essays, video documentaries, and the like. Check out the link here. Secondly, the Department of Communication and the Arts held its first ever student screenwriting competition, and I'm happy to say that the winner and the two runners-up were all students within the Media Studies program. And lastly, after a year of hybrid learning, students in the Hollywood Western class in fall 2021 were able to get back into the TV studio and interview one another for a little documentary about the course. Have a look.
For me, it would be the gunfighter. And I think it represents that time and era because you see this guy, Ringo, right? And he's the fastest shooter in town.
How come I gotta run into a squirt like you nearly every place I go these days? What are you trying to do, show off in front of your friends?
Are you ready to back up that remark or not?
What about this? Ain't some of you fellas in charge of this donkey?
I'm telling you, Mr. Ringo.
Eddie don't mean no real harm, Mr. Ringo.
Then let Eddie keep his big ugly nose out of my business if he don't want to get it slapped.
I like the gunfighter in the sense that it takes away the glitz and the glamour of the Western genre. It kind of shows its reality and how the main character is kind of tired of like this fantasy of how a gunfighter is just living the life, when in reality, he's being targeted by multiple people because of his notoriety.
Did you see that?
Yes, sir. He drew first.
Do you see it?
Yeah, I saw it. Yes, sir, I saw it. Except I'd get on out of town anyway if I was you.
Why?
Because he's got three brothers that ain't gonna care who drew first.
You get that sense of like there's a time limit going by because he has to get out of town before these three brothers get there. But he doesn't want to leave until he sees his love. And then he changes it up right there at the end. He was like, all right, I'm not leaving until I see my son.
Gunfighter was released in 1950, which was like around the Cold War, end of World War II, with soldiers coming back from war. And I believe if like soldiers from World War II or whatever, they reunite with their families and are watching the Gunfighter, they would kind of see themselves in Jimmy Ringo because they're trying to get rid of that like traumatic experience.
A big thing about like the machismo is just like you would drink whiskey at a bar.
Bartender,
Yes, what can I do for you?
do you have any soda pop?
In the movie Shane, he went to go get pop for the little boy, and they like kind of made fun of him.
Kind of like Shane he was a pretty good character. The way that he is, at first try to be very humble and avoiding problems, but then, you push a person's buttons so often, they're gonna eventually push back. Even though he had a past, I think he had like a good code of honor.
I was not a huge Western film person, but in Hell or High Water, in 2009, it was like the downfall of the stock market. So it's kind of cool that in that film alone, it like really changed my perspective on it.
I gotta say it's Hell or High Water. What I love about it is basically, it's not black and white, It's really just two boys doing what they think is right. Yeah, they're robbers, but in the end, they just want to help out their families and give them better lives than they had.
It depicts two different sides. You have the police force who are trying to just do their jobs, solve these bank robberies, which is what they're supposed to do, and they're not bad guys for it. And then you have these two other guys, these two brothers, who are robbing these banks because they got screwed by the bank. They're not necessarily bad guys either. They're doing bad things. And you see towards the end of the movie when Toby kills somebody. But as an audience, you look at it and you can maybe not necessarily relate, but be sympathetic with what's going on.
Hold it!
Whoa, steady, ho. Hey, look, it's Ringo.
Yeah. Hello, Curly.
Watching that movie, there was a lot of things about it that made it seem like a classic Western. I mean, John Wayne was in it.
Well, the classic hero I can think of is John Wayne.
feel like everybody and their mothers said John Wayne, but I have to go with John Wayne.
Definitely John Wayne. I know it's an obvious answer, but he, from the beginning of like when we saw Stagecoach and all the other movies, like he was the lead actor of all of them because he was the pretty boy in the Western films, which attracted like the audience to wanting to see the film because they saw a familiar face.
Technically, Stagecoach was like his mainstream first really big role, but I think kind of the role that kind of switched where he wasn't the strong silent type anymore and more of like kind of a cranky villain was Red River.
Well, here's your red.
What a river.
Sure had a lot smaller herd last time we crossed.
One bull and a cow. Well, this looks like as good a place as any.
This'll take us the rest of the day and part of the night. Why not cross fresh in the morning?
We'll put them across now.
We've got a pretty tired bunch behind us.
Tired men don't run away.
We can't keep them this wore out all the rest of the drive.
No, but we can keep them this wore out until Cherry gets back. Then nobody will want to run away.
The whole movie was basically just one long journey. And within that journey, you had interpersonal conflict between two people. They were essentially father and son.
If there's any chance at all, we'll get your herd to Abilene.
Cherry was right. You're soft. You should have let him kill me, because I'm going to kill you. I'll catch up with you. I don't know when, but I'll catch up. Every time you turn around, expect to see me. There's one time you'll turn around and I'll be there.
That to me is kind of like his breakout role because I feel like he was able to like expand kind of like his acting a little bit more instead of just being like the hero and kind of like the same old generic. I feel like he had a little bit more character in Red River.
Well, I feel like it also changed when, like for example, when we saw Johnny Guitar, although the hero was still seen as male, in a way, Vienna was also a hero towards the dancing kid, which shifted the perspective of what a hero looks like.
Yeah, I really like Johnny Guitar. Solely for like its female protagonist. I don't know. I love that. She you can kind of see a lot of Western elements in that film because you would see civilization coming into that film because Vienna owned a saloon that was at the prime location of where the railroad would come in. And the railroad symbolizes civilization coming to the West. Emma was so infuriating. Like, I needed her to go, and just the way that it ended, it was very satisfying to me, yeah.
Movie would probably be High Noon. Just because I feel like in that movie, I feel like at that time, I think it came out in 1952. It was when blacklisting was going on in Hollywood. So I think a lot of people, even if they weren't in Hollywood, just in their daily lives, a lot of them were being blacklisted at work because of their views. A lot of it is like mob mentality and kind of people not wanting to step up and kind of fall in line with everybody else. And a lot of people can relate to Gary Cooper's character of kind of just wanting to stand up. Most of the movie takes place in one town, so I kind of like that aspect because most Westerns take place like they're mostly traveling and it's very like open fields, but I feel like High Noon really is very kind of claustrophobic in a way. In the movie, Gary Cooper's character, Will Kane, represents kind of both law and justice. I just think that the themes in that movie kind of represent the Western genre best to me.
For me, that would have to be The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly. Probably because I think that's the most iconic Western. Like, whenever you hear a Western, you think of The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly score, you know? I believe there was a certain charm specifically for Clint Eastwood's character, Blondie, and that's why a lot of audiences liked him. He had like a very stoic expression. He kind of brought an air of mystery about him, and that's kind of like what drawn me to him because now when I imagine a Western, kind of see his face instead of John Wayne.
The classic Western hero originated as somebody who stood by the book, kind of just a straight arrow type of person.
I think that kind of the classic traits of a Western hero is kind of like the strong, silent type. He's like the best gunslinger and good morals.
They're either trying to get justice for themselves or someone who they love.
And then as the genre kind of evolved, I feel like the hero evolved with it, where the hero had these demons. And I think back to a lot of John Wayne characters. And I think back to Stagecoach, where his character is pretty clean. He's chivalrous. He does the right things. He's the hero in the end. And then I think about The Searchers, where his character is not a perfect representation of what a hero should be.
Before then, he tended to play the traditional Western hero. Then his character in The Searchers is sort of a deconstruction of those types of characters, and how the character is really just not very pleasant or nice.
He's obviously racist.
What good did that do you?
Why, what you preach, none. But what that Comanche believes, ain't got no eyes, he can't enter the spirit land. Has to wander forever between the winds. You get it, Reverend. Come on, blanket head.
His motives don't always seem pure. He almost kills his niece. In the end, he saves her. And it's all a happy ending, but he's not consistently a clean-cut, black and white type of person.
Let's go home, Debbie.
I think he represented like American values at that time. Like I feel like a lot of people, like even in his real life persona, he was very like, he hated High Noon because he thought it was very un-American. He was very like pro-America, so I feel like a lot of people liked watching him because he represented America to them.
A Western hero for me would be someone who is upholding, like, I guess, nuclear values, like in the past, because I think that values can change as time goes on, because like in modern day, I guess, us watching Western films will be a lot different than how people in the 50s or before are watching Western films. We have our own different, like, perception of it. I think it'll be the same for me in my case on how I see Western films, because I believe in like the family like structure, but then I also kind of relate to Western heroes because they want to be free. They want to, like, if they choose, like, want a different career path, then they can do that. If they want to like leave town and, you know, completely erase their whole identity and make a new one, they can do that. There's no strings attached. There's nothing holding them back.